Hi guys, it's Krista from Playing with a Purpose. Recently I got some really great questions from a subscriber, and so today's video is going to be answering all of those questions. If you're new here, my name is Krista and I'm a childcare provider for up to 5 children, and on my channel you'll find tips and tricks, all things related to childcare, shopping hauls, and the odd family vlog. The first question is, I want to provide good learning materials to the kids, but at the same time I'm a little hesitant thinking about the mess and damage. How do I handle that? This is a great question. Sometimes we're hesitant to put stuff out there because we think, oh, kids are distractive, they're going to ruin it, and I've just wasted a whole bunch of money. First thing is to set boundaries and expectations. It's really important to teach the children how to respect the materials in the classroom. And I think as providers, we also have to come to realize that there is a certain amount of wear and tear on our homes and with the materials that we provide for the children that is reasonable. I do think that it's important that if things are deliberate, it gets addressed right away, and also just really making clear expectations for the children. This can be done in lots of different ways. I personally love to play with the children. So maybe we're playing in the kitchen area and I'm showing the children by modeling how to use the materials correctly. If I see a child using the materials inappropriately, say they threw something really hard like a block and it hit the wall, maybe you're gonna actually visibly see a mark on the wall. So I would take the child over to the wall and I would show them what happened when they threw that material against the wall. And then I might provide them with a different material like a bean bag, or it's winter right now, so maybe those fake snowballs. And then I would let the child throw that against the wall and show them that there was no damage to the wall. I think it's really important that we teach the children the why we have these boundaries and expectations for them. If we teach them the why behind the rules that we have in our classroom, it's easier for them to accept. Maybe you find a child has taken a marker from the writing center and just colored all over your wall. In this circumstance, what you can do is gather some cleaning materials that are safe for the children to use and say, uh-oh, we need to clean this. We don't color on walls. Here, this is where we color. And then show them where you want them to color instead. So a coloring book or some paper. If you still see a child using destructive behavior after these things have been explained to them, then you can simply say, I'm sorry, it looks like you're having a hard time listening today. Maybe you can try again tomorrow, and then remove them from that area of the classroom and don't allow them to play there for the remainder of the day. It's really important to just be consistent and have those expectations in place, but it's really important to try to remain calm and not get too emotional while you're doing that. It's also really important to know your own comfort level when it comes to these kinds of things. Maybe if you're a new provider and these kind of things are going to trigger you, then it might be wise to just not put out materials at a writing center until you feel more comfortable with those kind of activities. I've been a childcare provider for many years, and so I've gotten a lot more accustomed to the mess, and I'm a little more comfortable with it. But if it bothers you, or sometimes I'm just not even in the mood myself, it's really important that you know yourself how you're feeling for that particular day. I've recently had a little guy not be able to follow the rules with the sensory table. I fully expect there's going to be some mess when children are playing at the sensory table. This is just a given in my opinion. But if I see children deliberately dumping things on the floor, give them a reminder of what the expectations are. And if they don't listen, then sometimes I just simply close that center for the day and say, let's try again tomorrow. The second question is, I'm just starting out my home daycare and I'm not sure how much to spend on the materials, toys, and books for the kids. I've been running my daycare for a really long time, and I certainly didn't have the materials I have now when I first started. And so the first thing I would do is set a budget. There's definitely some startup costs involved. I think it's important to set a budget to open your program and then reinvest over time. And that can be done through thrifting, garage sales, and through all sorts of different ways that are more affordable. Don't feel like you need to have everything all at once. I also suggest having a little bit of a budget that you can always be reinvesting into your program. She also says that her kids are between the ages of 1 and 2.5, and how can she buy things that benefit all of the ages. I think it's really important to just start off with the basics. So blocks. Blocks are for all different age groups and they can be used in lots of different ways. And so it's a very open-ended toy. So I would say blocks, different types of puzzles for varying age groups, some simple art materials, some fine and gross motor materials. So just kind of think about classroom as a whole. You can put a wish list together and then prioritize what fits your budget. But some key basics are definitely some books, puzzles, blocks, cars, dolls, and maybe some sensory materials. The next question is, what are the most important areas that must be considered in planning the curriculum? When I think about curriculum in my classroom, it's really all about learning through play. What are the things that I want to make sure that my children know before they head off to kindergarten? And it really comes down to independence. I want the children to be confident when they leave here, that they are able to take care of their own belongings, they can write their name, they can get dressed on their own, they have good language skills, and through play, we can do all of these things. We want to have toys that helps develop their fine motor muscle, their bilateral coordination, hand-eye coordination, problem solving. We want to set up an environment in our classroom that the children can just learn through play. Putting materials out in our classroom that promote problem solving, hand-eye coordination, bilateral coordination, counting, color learning, matching, gross and fine motor, language development, all of those things help the child get ready for kindergarten. Children naturally want to learn, and so just making sure that your environment is inviting and allows the children to move freely within the classroom, choosing the materials that they want to play with. The next question is, lots of learning materials related to kids are very expensive. What ideas or ways would you suggest a beginner to consider while buying them? When I'm looking for different materials, I want to look at what is the play value? Is it an open-ended material? What is the quality? Is it durable? Does it help develop the child physically, cognitively, social, emotionally? And what about language? Does it help develop language? These are all things you want to ask before you go and purchase different items. Look at the learning objectives that you want the children to learn in your classroom, and then make sure that the item that you're bringing into the classroom will help promote that learning. The next question is, how do we make the kids follow the directions or train them on anything like sitting for circle time or clean up the toys after they play? Practice, practice, practice. Often I start with a new group of children in September, and at the beginning of the year, you have new children that haven't learned the routines yet. So limiting how many toys you have out when they're first learning is a good idea. Making sure that you have a specific spot for every single toy in the classroom. So that means no matter who is picking that up, they know exactly where that toy belongs. If you have a really young child, you can do hand over hand, so you can teach the child how to clean up by taking their hand and picking up an item and bringing them to where it belongs. Over time, the children just learn these routines and it becomes second nature. Very similar for circle time, you need to start small. So at the beginning, you may only have a 2 to 5 minute circle time, and you want to have really short books. You want to have lots of action, and you want to have them participating. So you want to make sure that you're using your felt board. You want to make sure that they have different items to hold within the classroom, or maybe you're doing music and you have instruments. Anything that will make the children excited about coming to circle time. So being really unpredictable and having things that they have never seen before and different games that you might want to bring. It's just really important that the children are excited about coming, and over time their attention spans grow. The next question is not getting the paints or pencil marks on the wall and how to stop them from tearing things off the wall. These are things that happen in every single classroom, and it's just a matter of teaching the expectation over and over. I had a little guy that continued to take things off the classroom walls over and over and over again, and I just simply repeated it, and over time they stopped doing it. Sometimes you need to take an item away and try again in a little while. And the last question is how to choose books for a theme. You really need to think about age-appropriate books. Sometimes there's really cute books, but they're too long and children lose attention. And sometimes I have different age groups in my program, and some children are able to read longer stories. So I usually reserve the longer stories to read one-on-one to a child, whereas the shorter books I read during circle time. The book that you really want to use because it fits perfectly within your theme, but it's too long, just paraphrase and tell the story in your own words. I'm also a big fan of using books that have real pictures in it. It's really important for children to see real photos. I always look for books that have real photographs in them. I think this is really helpful for children to learn about the world around them when they see real pictures. I love to purchase books about emotions, diversity, healthy habits, animals. These are all things that the children can learn about the world around them through books. If I'm looking for books about a certain theme, like Arctic, I love to choose those science books that have really simple text but real photographs. Children love those. And also, because there's the North and South Pole, it's really a great opportunity to tie in opposites. So sometimes I'll pull out my opposite books during that theme. Or maybe we're doing a gardening theme. Well, I want to make sure that I'm talking about all the different stages of gardening. So I might want to have a book about seeds. I want to have a book about planting. I want to have a book about the stages of growth. You might want to have a book about the harvest and maybe even farming. So it's just kind of looking at the topic that you're trying to introduce to the children and making sure that it makes sense to them by giving them as much information as we can in a simple, age-appropriate way. My program is theme-based, and I love introducing different themes to the children. It helps to keep me motivated and excited to learn along with them, and I love to create a new environment for them each month. But just to give you an idea a little bit about how I do things, definitely most of everything they learn is through play. I do like to be organized and prepared. For example, if we're doing a week on snow, I'll create a really simple outline of what we're going to be doing for the week. So every day I'll have a circle time or show and tell idea, a story, and then an art or activity idea. It just kind of helps to have an idea of what we're going to be doing each day, and this can sometimes change, but this gives me the direction I need for every day. This just helps me stay organized. So for example, for my circle time, if you're familiar with the story, This Is the Jacket I Wear in the Snow, this is a book I often read. I love that it's repetitive. And so for example, on Monday, I might bring different types of jackets to my circle time. And so I might have a raincoat, or I might have a spring jacket or a winter coat. And then I might ask the children, what kind of coat is this? Do I wear this jacket in the rain? Do I wear this jacket in the snow? And so just having a simple prop like that just helps the children get excited about what we're going to talk about. And then here I write down the stories that we're going to read. And then I either have an art project or an activity. So sometimes it's a game or some sort of an activity, and sometimes it's art. For this one, I have photocopies from a mailbox magazine that I used to subscribe to. And it just has all the pictures that you need for that story for them to color, and then they can cut and paste. So this is really simple. It can be done with all different age groups. But one of the things I love doing is following up an activity that goes along with our circle time. So then in my binder, I have a copy of this. And so the week before, I'll go ahead and just make any photocopies that I need and have it all ready for. Usually on the Fridays, I just get together all the materials that I'm going to need for the following week and make photocopies. And so that way I have all the materials I need and they're all ready for the week to come. So this is really how I create my curriculum. It's very simple. It's not very complicated at all. I just keep any of the materials that I'm going to need inside my binder, and then I have it ready to go. Sometimes I purchase materials from Teachers Pay Teachers, and then I just do it the same way. I have it all ready and prepared, and so the materials are all ready to go. So I definitely do a mix of creating my own curriculum and using other products from TPT. So I hope this video was helpful for you. And I'm Krista with Playing with a Purpose. I'll see you next time.